hashtag The Diff, which is a bunch of awesome teenagers trying to figure out how to live for Jesus together. And we have some awesome announcements for you. What do we got first, AJ?
First, we have punch cards.
Whoop, whoop.
Everybody should have gotten one of these a couple of weeks ago. You're supposed to be doing discipleship challenges. That's a hard thing to say. It's like a tongue twister. Discipleship challenges. Go talk to your leaders for some tasks to get the punches and to get some freebies.
All right, I officially owe Hugo some football gloves because that's what we agreed on, but he has to earn one at a time, which I think is awesome, so those are coming your way. So, in addition to the punch cards, if you have ever asked yourself, you know what, the Bible's really big, I don't know where to start. Have you ever asked yourself that? Yes, me too. So, we help you every single week by picking out a YouVersion Devo that's just about what we talk about each Thursday. So, if you want to hop on the one that looks like that or follow me and you can grab it off of mine, then you have a place to start that will grow your life.
All right, on the count of 3, you're going to scream your favorite color as loud as you can. 1, 2, 3.
Purple!
Okay, I heard a lot of orange and a lot of green. Color Wars is coming up. Save 10. It was a joke. Get over it. You're all like, what? I don't get it. Nobody said orange or green, but those are the colors for Color Wars. So every year we have a giant... Why are you arguing? Stop. Okay, we have a giant missionary giving event, and so I don't know if you know this, but I know this, but all of you are supplying the missionaries that we support overseas with enough money for vehicles and electronics, for equipment, so that they can tell other people about Jesus, right? So you know that how many dollars saves a life? 2. Okay. What are we doing? I'm going this way. Scoot 6 feet away. Thank you. Okay, and so anyways, Speed the Light is like guys wear one color, girls wear another color. You raise as much money as you can so we can send it overseas to all the people who are sharing Jesus.
And we just play a bunch of crazy games to help you earn money that night. And Girls are the Reigning Champs. Moving right along.
Nice try.
How many of you can tell me how many feet we're supposed to be apart? 6 feet. And so we're going to celebrate that next week. This week we celebrated with fruit by the foot, so you can measure out. But next week we're starting something called 6 by 6. Say 6 by 6.
6 by 6.
That means 6 people are going to talk for 6 minutes about 6 different things on the mic. So if you want that to be you, let me know. And otherwise, we will have 6 people up here rocking your world and changing your life.
Retreat!
Whoop,
All right. So we have promos that are going out tonight from July 27th to the 68th.
28th.
Okay, 27th and 28th. Our work days available. So if you need to raise money to go to this really sick retreat with all your best 50 teenager friends out there, then yeah, let us know. We'll hook you up with some work days.
Yes, we cried for 2 months. We heard there was no camp, and so we decided, let's just do a retreat. So there will be awesome stuff on the courtyard and in a mansion, and there's a pool and a fire pit, and it's going to be awesome. So sign up soon. And lastly, I have so many of these to give away tonight. If you're online, you don't know this, but we give away 1 bracelet a week for any teenager that we caught living beyond normal. And this week we have so many to give away because it is for any sibling who made one of our game videos for our YouTube channel, because we launched a YouTube channel. And you guys filled it with awesome content. So if you are one of those siblings, come on down. I'm going to throw this at your face. Yes, don't be shy, don't be shy. But please stay 6 feet away. All right, here we go. We got the Zichtermans. We got the Merritts. We got the Newells. And I got one saved for you, Emmy and Dana Lee Tubbs online. We're watching us right now, and they did it also. I will save some for you. So how many of you are ready for tonight? All right, check out this worship opener, or this preaching opener, and we will get started. In case you don't know, the world was to end in 2012. If you don't believe me, there's already a movie called, you guessed it, 2012, where the world comes to an end. And did you know that today we're halfway through 2020? Yes, you should cheer for that because it's been rough, right? Whether you're watching online or you're back in the building right now, I think we can all agree it's been quite a year. There are times in history where everyone looks back and goes, whoa. Say that with me. Whoa. Yes, this is one of them. There was the Industrial Revolution. There was putting a person on the moon. There was the invention of the internet. And now there's what we call 2020. and you are living history. And it's going to be a while for us to look back and see what it really was, what it really did, what it really meant. But we feel it, right? I think we can all agree that we just feel like we're on the verge of something. We feel like things are changing. We feel like something's up. It seems like it's leading to something, but we just don't know what. And we're kind of all looking around going, let me hear it again. Whoa. What's next? What should I be doing? Like I see all this angst around me, but what should I do? Well, tonight I have a story from some people who are in the same exact boat that we are now. The world was going to change forever, and they were looking around going, whoa, what's next? What should I do? And in this story, there's a little kid with a lunch that absolutely changed the world. He was right where you are, looking around at all the craziness around him, feeling like he might be part of history, but going, what is happening? What am I supposed to do? What's my part in it? And just like you, he played a pivotal role in history for the same reason you can and the same reason that happened on that video. So we're going to take a look at it. It is found in all of the bios, which is all the 4 people that followed Jesus around and wrote everything down, gave him a bio. It is in all 4 of those, and so we're going to look at the one in John, and let's take a look at what happened. So this is John writing down his version of what happened this day in history. So it starts out like this. When Jesus heard it. Now I'm going to stop right there because this is important. Because the it in when Jesus heard it was the death of his cousin and best friend. So he just found out his cousin died. And not just died, but like his head got cut off. Like it was nasty and gross and disgusting and tragic. And our Savior's like just heard that. He's just found out and he's just weeping about it, right? And so he decides, as a lot of us do when we're sad, he says he departed from there by a boat to a deserted place by himself. Can anyone relate? Let me be sad alone so I don't hurt somebody, right? But he said he took the disciples with him so they could be alone too. So we pick up the story. They've just heard this news. They're sad. They're trying to get away, to take a moment to breathe and grieve. But that didn't go as planned. Ever been there? Here's what happened. But then all the people saw them leave and figured out where they were going. Oopsie. So people from the town ran and got there first. So they're trying to get alone. They're trying to grieve. And yet everyone's there needing them, asking them for stuff. And when Jesus went out, he saw all the people, and he was moved with compassion for them. That says a lot about our Savior, right? He's tired, hungry, sad, and he still wants to serve you. So he spoke to them about God's kingdom and healed everyone who was sick. Awesome. So now this is going on for hours. They still haven't gotten away by themselves. It's been hours, and later in the afternoon, the 12 disciples came and said this, send the crowd to the villages and farms because they need to find something to eat. They need somewhere to stay tonight. They need something to eat. They're starving. It says, there's nothing in this place that's like a desert. So all these hours have gone by. Everyone is starving, and the disciples are like, Jesus, hello, you're not paying attention. They are hungry, and there's nothing around here. You need to send them away to give them time to eat. And Jesus says something very important. In fact, his next sentence is the actual title of my sermon. And here's what he says. So the disciples are like, you need to send them away to give them something to eat. And he says this, you give them something to eat. Ever been there? Where God's like, I kind of want you to do this thing. And you're like, there's nothing to do it with. There's no food. I don't know what you're talking about. That's way too hard. In fact, it's impossible. And so no. I have been there. And he's saying to them, look around, there's nothing. Now you give them something to eat. And they replied how most of us do, which is, don't you know that's impossible? To feed all these people would take a year's wages, and there's no food here. And they say this next very important sentence. They say, there's just this little boy with 2 fish and some bread. That won't go very far with all these people because there's 5,000 men, which means about 20,000 people. This little lunch is not going to do anything for anyone. So we're going to have to go buy food. So Jesus just says, okay, split them off into 50, groups of 50, and bring me that little kid's lunch. So they do. They hand him the 2 fish and the 5 little loaves of bread, and he performs a miracle in that moment. He thanks God for them, and then he has the disciples pass out all the food. And people didn't get just a little bit, just enough to survive that moment. It says at the end of that verse that they had 12 baskets left over at the end. So what's happening here is Jesus is giving them a course in faith, a course in who he is, a course in who they are. And so this is in a very important chapter in the Bible, in the story of the Bible and who God is and who we are. It's the only miracle mentioned in all 4 of those bios, except the resurrection. All 4 of those history writers were saying, this is so important, I'm including it. So this was a big deal, and this little boy was a big deal, and his lunch was a big deal, and Jesus' response was a big deal. And what happened before and after this verse is a big deal. Because what happened before it was, Jesus' heart was broken, and he was hungry and tired and hot. His humanity was at its lowest, but that's when his divinity was at its highest. And the same goes for us. When we are at our lowest, when we are out of everything that we have to give, that's when Jesus shows up the most. It happens every single time, even to our Savior. That's what happened before this verse. What happened after it was him walking on water and inviting Peter to do the same. In 3 out of the 4 bios, right after this, we don't know if it was a couple hours or a couple days, but Jesus walked on water and calmed the storm and said, Peter, why are you looking at the waves? Look at me. For a brief second, a human walked on water because they were fixated on God until they looked at the problem and sank. See, I don't think Peter walks out of that boat without this little kid's lunch. I think that everything that happened in the verse we're talking about today led to that kind of faith. Peter got out of the boat because of that boy, but something else happened after this verse. I said 3 out of the 4 biographers said walking on water was next. Here's what the other one said. He recorded a conversation about Jesus talking to his disciples, and he kept asking them, who do you say I am? Who do people say I am? Who do you think that I am? And they kept answering, you're Jesus, you're the Messiah, you're the Savior. See, Peter getting out of the boat was because of the boy. And that little bit of faith did. But them saying, you are everything you say you are, was because of what Jesus did with the lunch. And we're in the exact same situation. See, all of a sudden in this story, people were looking at what was in their hands. And they were like, well, wait a minute. I have a Whopper and some Starbucks. That kid gave him a Big Mac and some Dutch, and look what happened. I got something just like that in my hand. Or I have something not even close to that. But I just saw that if I give it to God, it's going to be awesome. All of a sudden, after this moment, people were looking at what was in their hands differently. And they were seeing the impossible be possible with Jesus around. And they were anticipating that response when Jesus says, you go feed them. You do something with what you have. You give that to me and watch us fly. Sure, some people were just following him around to get something from him or see what the big show was, just like today. Some people are following Jesus for the wrong reasons. But for the people who really saw who he was and really looked at what they had in their hand and really gave it to him, no matter how insignificant it was, they were different. You give them something to eat, Jesus said. It's like he's saying, I'm about to do a miracle, but you've got to act. And then their response, there's just this boy with this lunch. No, you can't use that. It will do nothing. And God's like, well, actually, watch what's about to happen when they put it in my hand. And you could be in the same boat. You're like looking around going, this is too big of a problem. This is 20,000 people and I have some fish and some bread. I cannot fix this world, God. There's fear and there's racial tensions and there's disease and there's anxiety about what's going on. And what will my little lunch or my hour or my dollar or my prayer or my talent do? And this verse holds the answer. Everything. Everything. When you put it in his hand. You give them something to eat, he said. By giving God what you have, he makes it great. And you both change history with it. This kid just was about his daily life, following the crowd. I wonder what's going to happen. Happened to have some food his mom gave him that morning. It was unnoticed and it was insignificant. It was overlooked in his hand. But when he gave it to his Savior, it became history. And you are in the same moment right now. And tonight's about looking at what is in your hand. What do you have? What skill do you have? What passion do you have? What resource do you have? Where you can look and go, well, it's just a lunch. And then put God's filter on it. See what he can do with that little thing. And so I don't know if you guys knew this, but we started our MOD discipleship group for the summer. MOD usually stands for pizza, but for us it stands for monthly one day. So one day each month in the summer, we're going to just meet at MOD and just hang out and talk about life. And so we met for the first time. You'll see the picture of that. And we had these questions that led to some awesome, amazing conversations. And so we're going to kind of bring that into tonight because they answered some questions that really had some amazing conversations afterwards. In fact, I even learned from this conversation that one of our junior high boys learned to knit, and that's pretty awesome. So, congratulations to that person. But here's the questions you're going to answer. 3 questions. What did you learn about God through this quarantine? What did you learn about yourself through this quarantine? And what did you learn about the world through this quarantine? And that's where we're at right now. We're looking around and we're going, whoa, this is big. This is scary. This is crazy. We're all hungry and tired and sad. And yet, God is going to say, what are you going to feed them with? So if we can get those questions on the screen. The second question is, what's one thing you're going to do because of it? And this is the give him your lunch thing. So it's going to be an open mic for a little bit for you to come up. If you were at the MOD meeting, please lead the way. But you're going to just answer that. What did you learn about yourself, God, or the world? It can be deep and spiritual, or it can be like, I learned to knit. No problem. We're a family. We want to hear all about it. And then anyone can answer that question, and also the question of, what are you going to give him? What's in your hand? What are you going to start doing? And so you do have to come up on the stage because we have to be 6 feet apart from each other still. And we have 2 mics, so we're going to clean in between. We have 3 mics because we're overachievers. So if you can answer that question, it'd be awesome if it would come up on the screen. And so you don't have to remember, but it's, what did you learn about yourself, God, or the world? And then what are you going to do about it? What's one thing you can do to be a part of the history making that video was about? So come on up, especially if you're in MOD, come on up and tell us what you got going on. Actually, since you guys aren't in the front row, you guys can be, oh no, because the camera, so you still got to come up here. Okay, come up here, let us know. We're a family. We are together. We do this together. We're vulnerable because you're a family. It'll be fine. It'll change the world. It's great. You can grab the first mic from Megan. If you were in MOD, come on up. Don't be shy. Because of the camera. But you can take the stairs if you want. Girls, you don't have to do that.
So one thing that I learned about myself is I learned how to knit, which, because I was just trying to fill time, and honestly, I learned a lot from it.
You, God, or the world?
Something that I learned that God has for me is he changed what he wanted me to do. I thought he wanted me to go into the Marines when I was a kid, and now I feel like he's pushing me to do music and play football and show him through that. And something that I learned about the world is that it's perspective, the way people look at it. And I feel like a lot of things would be different if people looked at it the same way. Because people, the media is looking at it a different way than most other people do. And then
What are you going to do, Nicholas, because of that? What lunch are you giving?
I am going to start praying for the world and that it would have a better thought on the world.
So good. All right, switch out mics with her. Who's next? Go ahead and line up so there's not a lot of switching time.
Sorry. Can I take this off?
When you're up here,
Okay.
yeah.
One thing I learned about myself is I learned how to memorize all the states in order. But like bigger picture, I learned that I can do whatever I put my mind to, because before I thought like memory was not my strong suit. I'm really bad at remembering little details and stuff. But once I put my mind to it, I realized that I could actually do it. So that was really cool. I also binge watched a lot of shows. But yeah, it was cool that I could put my mind to something and actually fulfill it. Something I learned about the world is that you can't find satisfaction through it. In school, I spent a lot of my time trying to build new relationships and try to look the perfect way for other people and try to find satisfaction through that. And I actually was hurting a lot from it, and I fell apart. I lost a piece of myself trying to look for myself through the world. I read a lot of quotes about how I need to rely on God and not rely on other people, because I thought I would find myself through the world, but instead I need to turn to God. I believe that God put a hole in every one of our hearts, and I turn to the world for the satisfaction instead of turning to Him, which the devil will try to lean and try to push us towards that hole, like try to get us to believe that the world is going to satisfy the needs of our hearts, whether it's relationships, or I almost knocked it over, but whether it's relationships or people, and maybe you're feeling like you keep turning to these people and they end up walking away from you, and God's saying, I have a plan for you, and that hole isn't satisfied through the world, it's satisfied through Him. And something I learned about God is that I grew a lot with Him. Like before I would think, like, wow, why does anybody put up with me? Because I'm so boring. Like I was just spending so much time with just my thoughts and by myself. But I really grew my relationship with God, and I got to know Him on a higher level. And I guess I just want to spread His word and make sure that I'm open to whatever He has in store for my life.
So good. Yes, you can make history or make excuses. Good job.
So I learned, is it on? I learned that if you have a relationship with God, He'll always provide. Whether the situation is bad or good, it will all end up like how it's supposed to.
So good. Good job.
What I learned about myself was to be more patient in life and let things happen versus forcing them to happen, and letting God direct me versus directing myself towards God.
So good. God will never show up as soon as you want, but He'll show up at the perfect time.
What I've learned about myself is I just recently got a job, and like when I was younger, I didn't have a lot of like money to give, so I'm gonna start giving 10%, right? I don't know, because I read like a verse in the Bible that said like the rich doesn't have to give too much and the poor doesn't have to give too little, to always give 10%. So I'm gonna try to do that my best that I can. And also I've learned about myself, like I'm an extreme extrovert, and like I always rely on other people to like give me energy, but I shouldn't do that. So I've been really trying to focus on myself, and it's like kind of hard still, but I'm getting through it slowly but surely. That's it.
I'm so proud of you, Jesse. In case you're wondering, that is the only time in the Bible that God says, test me. It's about the 10% thing. He has created a way for everyone to have everything they need, and that is it. And He says, test me on this. All right, anyone else learn anything about yourself, God, or the world?
Let's go, Buzz.
All right. One thing I learned about myself is how much I love filming. I got to do that a whole lot thanks to this awesome place and Chris and everything. God, I know, I learned that He's always there, and you can rely on Him at any time. And the world is, even though so much crazy things, if you just look hard enough, there's always kind things still happening.
That's so good. Yes, please you run the camera for us and tell me what to do because I'm usually walking right out of the camera. Okay, so anyone else? Leaders, anyone? Okay, so here's what you're going to do. We're going to have a little bit of time and we are just going to worship and we're going to put that filter on the thing in your hand. And I want you to just philosophically and physically give that to Him. Go, here's what I have that I know you're speaking to me about. Buzz just said it was camera skills. Awesome. Give it to God and watch what happens. People are going to get saved because He got behind a camera. That is a true story. So think what is in your hand and then think to give it to Him. And we are going to start with some celebration worship, which means we can't mosh to the song like we're used to, but we sure can hoop and holler in our seats. And if you all want to come forward, that would be awesome because you can be 6 feet apart but up closer. That's why we're on the stage. You could get closer. So don't break any rules that will get me fired, but I want you to have an absolute blast. We're going to be standing for worship. And so, worship team, for the first time since...
Hey guys, thanks for watching our video. If you guys want to, subscribe to this channel that you're watching right now. Do it. It's right there. Just click the red button that says subscribe on it. Hit it. Also next to it, because you're already there, hit the little bell button. And that will basically notify you when we go live, when we post a new video during the week. So it'll just keep you guys updated. So then you don't have to question, are they live? Are they posting? They are. So put that notification bell, you'll get an email, and it'll let you know when we are posting or when we're live.
And if you want updates for throughout any other time of the week, we're posting on our social medias all the time. You can follow us at The Diff Youth on Instagram or like us on Facebook, which is The Difference Youth Church. And we post updates there all the time. We do Instagram Live sometimes and you get all kinds of fun stuff. So follow us there. Until then, it is time for worship. So there are some videos for you to click through to. Go ahead, get your worship on, and have some fun with Jesus. We'll see you.
You lift me up, fill my